Welcome back for update number 22. Well, in this update, Ron Trains and Things has kind of lit a fire underneath me a little bit, as he just did a YouTube video on using an Arduino and some LEDs and making a bonfire. Well, I had this project kind of planned out, but I never really got to it. So he's got me interested again, and I decided to tackle it. I have the cabin. So let's see what we can do. Now, we do use an Arduino, and if you're not familiar with the Arduino, there's quite a few YouTube videos. They're very inexpensive. They'll show you how to get it hooked up and get your sketch loaded into there. So we'll kind of take it from that point of my breadboarding and going from there. Now, I have done a little bit of work on the town of LaGrange. I've continued on that. I try to get a little bit done every day. The main project this time will be to get the campfire going for the cabin. Let's see what we got going on. We have our Arduino micro boards here, and you do have to supply your own cable. I think it's a type that takes a camera. I'm not quite sure what size connector that they use on that, but it's the small, it's not the larger port. And that board does come with these pins that you take and you can solder those pins in. And I did this board up without thinking how exactly I was going to do this, but the way I like to do it for breadboarding and testing and checking is that you can buy these online. These will go in there, and then when you're working with your breadboard, you use your little jumper cables, and they easily plug into this until you have the correct and what you want. And then I actually take this, cut off as many pins as I need, and that will be inserted, and then I'll solder my wires on here, put a little bit of heat shrink tubing on there, but that gives me a way to unplug this if I want to take the Arduino board out. Sometimes I do utilize these pins on the board, and for that can either actually reverse it, use these pins that I was and kind of go the other way. These will plug onto here. You can solder onto here. That'll give you an easy connection off. Or anytime somebody comes up and says, boy, I've got an old computer I don't want anymore, I say, sure, I'll take it. I go in and I cut all the plugs off it, and quite often when I need some, I'll cut off a section or whatever that, and these will plug right onto there also. And I've got a good wire coming out here that I can attach and to a terminal strip and do what I want with it. So anyway, just a couple tips on that. I wanted to show you the size some of the LEDs that are around. A 5, which is very large. Your 3mm, which I use a lot in control panel, is there, and then you start to get to your small ones. This is called a nano and a pico. Now the pencil that I have in my pencil there is 0.9mm. So, and then with all these you can get different voltages. So 3 volts, some of them are 5 volts, 12 volts. So kind of pick out what you need. And I buy my LEDs, these nanos and picos, from evansdesign.com, and fairly inexpensive, and they're easy to work with. Here's the nano LED, and this is the pico. So you can see they really kind of the same size, look like they're giving off about the same amount of light, and you can control the intensity of that by the amount of resistance that you put in the line. This is a 5 to 12 volt on the nano. This is a 3 volt unit. So by changing the resistance out, you can change the brightness of that. I'm probably going to use some translucent paper that I have. I use it for doing my windows in my buildings and stuff. This is it. You can see that one there, this one over here. We have the breadboard here with Arduino Nano setup and our sketch running. By plugging in different resistors, kind of the one I like so far, about 510 ohms for me in series, each one of the LEDs are running the nanos. The hard part is to try to get something that looks realistic out on your layout. It's got to be small, and I was trying to use the cone and maybe cap the top off. Where's my one piece here? I made this little pedestal unit up. I thought of maybe sitting that up. But to scale, that's probably 2.5 feet tall. 2.5 feet. So I thought, well, what can I flush mount? And I found a straw. And I'm thinking about drilling a hole down through my ground cover and installing the stall so this will be flush. I can build a little fire ring around it and then put some wood over it, and hopefully there'll be enough color that will come up through. But once I get that slid in there, then I can slide the LEDs up from the bottom, get the correct height I need, and then put a dab of silicone down there. So kind of messy right now, but it's what you get when you're kind of trying to breadboard something together. Okay, we've got the fire pit installed. In there we did use the straw, put a little rock around there, and we will prepare a little bit of wood to go on top of that. Before we get there, I want to work on the underside and get the wiring installed and get the Arduino installed. Here's the Arduino board getting ready to be installed underneath the layout. Your positive and negative coming in here, I went ahead and hardwired those in. These down here, they're all removable. This is your negative side from your LEDs coming back. Your 3 voltage going out to the LEDs. I tied all 3 grounds together and then brought them into the Arduino, and you have the LEDs out here. I just kind of used a little piece of heat shrink to hold them together, and I'm going to slide that up inside the tube. Got my 12-volt circuit here that I'm powering the Nano Arduino with. These are so small, about the only way you can mount them is with a piece of double-sided tape. Wiring coming off, going up into the tube, and a small dab of clear silicone. Hold those in place at the correct height that you want them. And here's the fire pit. The embers are glowing. I tried putting some pieces of wood in. Doesn't look, almost have to put like little tiny shavings into it. It's kind of hard to get it the orange to come out, but it's very orangey. My camera wants to pick up nothing but white, so very pleased with how it turned out. Still putting some time in on the town of LaGrange. A little more work done with the courthouse. The flag is up. A few trees are planted. Schoolyard, got the fencing in. And we worked on some concrete over here for the church and the post office. So I need to keep laying ground cover and get a few more trees planted in this area. That's kind of where we stand for now. We'll keep trying to make some progress. Going to wrap up update number 22. Hopefully I've given you some ideas with working with Arduinos and LEDs. I've actually got one more little project I'd like to try with it. I've got a little machine shop and make it look like an arc welder using some white and blue LEDs. We'll keep working away. on the town of LaGrange, get a little more ground cover, and keep working that into the layout now. So thank you very much for watching. You have a good week. Hopefully we'll see you back here soon.